To transform your life in 6 months, you must first declare your current self legally and emotionally dead. This is not a metaphor for motivation, it is a biological imperative. Your brain is wired to maintain homeostasis, a stable, energy-efficient state that resists fundamental change. The person you are today is not a mistake. It is a perfectly optimized machine for producing the exact results you currently have. If you want different outputs, you cannot tweak the software. You must replace the operating system. 6 months is precisely 182 days. That is exactly 4,368 hours. In neurological terms, that is enough time for your brain to undergo synaptic pruning, the process where rarely used neural connections wither away and frequently used pathways become myelinated, transforming into superhighways of thought and behavior. This means that in 6 months, you can literally unbecome who you are and become someone else entirely. But here is the ambush. Transformation is not additive. You do not add a new habit to your existing life. You must subtract, amputate, and scorch the earth of your old identity. The brutal plan does not ask you to improve. It asks you to replace, and replacement requires mourning. You will grieve your old comfort zones, your old friends who enabled your mediocrity, your old excuses that felt like truths. If you are not willing to kill the person you were yesterday, the person you want to become tomorrow will never be born.
Phase 1 of this brutal plan is not about action, it is about environmental euthanasia. The average person vastly underestimates how much their surroundings dictate their behavior. If you have a smartphone by your bed, you will scroll. If you have junk food in your pantry, you will binge. If you have toxic colleagues on your social feed, you will feel inadequate. The environment is the invisible hand that guides your every move, and it is currently rigged against you. For the next 6 months, you must treat your environment like a crime scene that needs to be sterilized. Remove your television. Delete every social media app from your phone. Not deactivate, delete. Install a website blocker that requires a 24-hour waiting period to disable. Replace your kitchen contents with whole foods that require preparation. Change your commute route if it passes by bars or fast food outlets. This is not deprivation, this is tactical disarming. The human brain is lazy and will always choose the path of least resistance. Your job is to make the path of least resistance the right path. If you have to walk an extra mile to find a donut, you will not eat the donut. If you have to reinstall an app to check Instagram, you will stop checking Instagram. This is the first brutal truth. Willpower is a finite, overrated resource. Do not waste it on fighting temptation. Eliminate temptation altogether. The plan succeeds or fails in the first 72 hours, and it succeeds or fails based on how thoroughly you have redesigned your physical and digital space.
Phase 2 is the most psychologically agonizing, the monotasking purge. You cannot transform your career, your health, your relationships, and your finances simultaneously. That is a recipe for burnout and failure. The brutal plan forces you to choose exactly one pillar of your life to rebuild from the ground up. If you are overweight and broke, choose health first, because a sick brain cannot compound financial intelligence. If you are financially desperate but physically okay, choose money, because poverty is its own form of psychological torture. Once you have chosen your single pillar, you must commit to a daily ritual of deep, undistracted work on that pillar for a minimum of 3 hours every single morning. Not 2 hours, not 90 minutes, 3 hours. This is the period when your cognitive resources are at their peak, before the decision fatigue of the day sets in. During these 3 hours, your phone is in another room, your email is closed, and your internet is restricted to research only. You are not multitasking. You are not checking notifications. You are building. Think of this as your daily surgery.
You are cutting away the diseased tissue of your old habits and stitching new ones into place. The first week of this will feel like torture. Your brain will scream for distraction. That screaming is the sound of your old self dying. Let it scream. Do not answer.
Let me introduce you to a man named Daniel, but not the Daniel you might expect. Daniel was a 38-year-old creative director at a top advertising agency in Manhattan. He earned $240,000 a year, lived in a sleek Tribeca loft, and was admired by his peers. But he was hollow. He was drinking heavily, his marriage was on life support, and he had not had a genuine creative idea in 3 years. He was just repackaging old campaigns. His VP sat him down and told him he was replaceable, which was the corporate kiss of death. Daniel realized that his entire identity was wrapped up in a title that could be erased with a single email. He decided to take the brutal plan. He chose his mindset as the single pillar, not his career, not his marriage, but his cognitive architecture. He reasoned that if he rewired his thinking, everything else would follow. He deleted his social media, stopped drinking, and started waking up at 4:30 a.m. But here is the twist. He did not start a side hustle or write a book. He spent his 3 hours reading cognitive science, evolutionary psychology, and military strategy. He studied how the brain makes decisions under stress, how high-performance teams function, and how to de-escalate conflict. He treated his mind like a muscle that had atrophied from disuse. The first month was brutal. He felt dumber, slower, and more anxious. He had removed the dopamine hits of his old life and had not yet built new ones. He was in the void, and the void is where most people quit. But Daniel understood a secret that the brutal plan reveals only to those who endure the void. The void is not empty, it is a crucible. In the second month, his brain began to adapt. The neural pathways he had starved, the ones for anxiety, validation seeking, and escapism, began to wither. The pathways he had been feeding, analysis, patience, and strategic thinking, began to thicken. He started seeing patterns in his industry that others missed. He realized that advertising was not about creativity, it was about behavior change, which is exactly what he was studying. By month 3, Daniel stopped thinking of himself as a creative director and started thinking of himself as a behavioral architect. That subtle identity shift, changing the noun you use to define yourself, is the most potent psychological lever in existence. When you say, "I am a smoker," you smoke. When you say, "I am a person who is quitting," you struggle. When you say, "I am a non-smoker," you stop. Daniel became a non-director. He became a strategist. He started applying his new mental models to his agency's biggest accounts, quietly, without seeking credit. Within 6 months, he had not been promoted, but he had become indispensable, because he was solving problems that no one else could see, let alone solve. He had not transformed his job, he had transformed his value. Phase 3 of the plan is the sacrifice of the social mirror. This is where the plan gets vicious. You cannot keep your current friends if they are not growing at the same velocity. This is not snobbery, this is physics. Social physics dictates that your income, your habits, and even your life expectancy are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If your closest circle is content with mediocrity, they will unconsciously punish your ambition. They will call you too serious or obsessed. They will invite you out when you should be working. They will normalize your old habits. The brutal plan requires you to deliberately, consciously reduce time with these people. You do not need to cut them off dramatically. That is unnecessary cruelty. You simply become unavailable. You schedule your deep work during their social hours. You join different communities, masterminds, industry forums, high-level webinars where you are the least accomplished person in the room. Iron sharpens iron. If you are the sharpest person in your circle, you are in the wrong circle. Daniel stopped going to after-work drinks with his advertising cronies. Instead, he joined a small online cohort of military veterans studying decision theory. These were people who had seen real chaos and had to make life-or-death choices. They did not care about his creative awards, they cared about his thinking. He felt like a beginner again, which was exactly where he needed to be.
Now we arrive at the month 4 cliff, the most dangerous phase of the entire 6-month timeline. This is when the initial motivation has completely evaporated and the results are not yet visible. You are working harder than ever, but the external world has not validated your efforts. Your boss has not noticed. Your bank account has not grown. Your physique has not dramatically changed. This is the valley of despair, and it is where 90% of transformations die. The brain interprets this lack of external feedback as a sign that the plan is failing. It sends urgent signals to return to the old, comfortable baseline. This is the moment when discipline must become pathological. You must do the work even when it feels meaningless. This is not faith, it is physics. A rocket launching into orbit spends the first 2 minutes burning most of its fuel just to escape gravity. It looks like it is moving slowly, it looks like it is wasting energy, but those 2 minutes are non-negotiable. Daniel hit this valley hard. He started questioning whether he had wasted 4 months. He even took a day off, but he did not relapse into his old habits. He took a long walk and listened to a podcast about the D-Day landings, about soldiers who had to keep running toward machine gun fire because stopping meant certain death. He realized that his plan was not a nice-to-have, it was his D-Day. He went back to his desk the next morning and did his 3 hours. He did not feel motivated, he felt determined. There is a profound difference.
Phase 4 introduces the precision of the daily scorecard. Transformation is not about vague aspirations, it is about measurable, ruthless data. You must track everything that matters to your chosen pillar. If you chose health, you track your macronutrients, your sleep cycles, your heart rate variability, and your workout intensity. If you chose wealth, you track your net worth daily, your deal flow, your learning hours, and your network expansion. You do not track to feel good, you track to feel the cold, hard truth. Daniel created a simple spreadsheet with 3 columns: action, time spent, and output. Every evening he would fill it out. He discovered he was spending 2 hours a day on research that was actually passive scrolling. He cut that. He discovered that his highest output hours were between 5 a.m. and 8 a.m., so he moved his exercise to the afternoon. The data does not lie. It does not care about your excuses. It just reports. And when you look at the data and see that you have only spent 18 hours on your priority in a week, you are forced to confront your own incompetence. That confrontation is painful, but it is also liberating because it gives you a clear, actionable target. The brutal plan is not a motivational speech, it is a management system for your own life. Let us pivot to Daniel's 5th month. The internal shift was undeniable. He had stopped seeking external approval. He walked into meetings with a stillness that unnerved his nervous colleagues. He stopped over-explaining his ideas. He would present them quietly and let them sit. He noticed that people started agreeing with him more, not because his ideas were suddenly better, but because his delivery had changed. He was no longer trying to prove himself. He was simply stating facts. This is the paradox of confidence. It emerges not when you feel certain, but when you stop needing to be certain. He also started sleeping exactly 7 hours every night, no more, no less. He realized that his 4:30 a.m. wake-up was irrelevant if he went to bed at 11 p.m. Sleep became a strategic weapon. He learned that a sleep-deprived brain is a primitive brain. It overreacts to threats, craves sugar, and cannot sustain attention.
He prioritized his deep work hours by prioritizing his rest. By month 5, his wife told him he seemed like a different person. He was calmer, more present, and less defensive. He hadn't fixed their marriage yet, but he had fixed himself enough to start having honest, difficult conversations without his ego getting in the way.
Now we reach the final stretch, month 6. At this point, the plan has become your identity. You no longer try to wake up early, you just wake up early. You no longer try to study, you just study. The friction has disappeared. The transformation is complete. Not because you reached a specific milestone, but because you have become the kind of person who cannot return to your old self. Daniel did not become a millionaire in 6 months. He did not save his marriage overnight, but he did achieve something infinitely more important. He became the person who could save his marriage and could build wealth. He had built the internal infrastructure. He had rewired his nervous system. His output at the agency was so strong that he was offered a promotion to a new role, Chief Strategy Officer, without even asking for it. He had stopped chasing the title, and the title chased him. His wife, seeing his consistency and emotional regulation, agreed to couples therapy. They are still working on it, but for the first time in years, Daniel feels capable of showing up fully. He did not change his life, he changed his capacity for life. And that is the secret of the 6-month plan. It does not guarantee external results, but it guarantees internal transformation. And internal transformation is the only permanent shift that exists. Let us dissect the precise schedule that made Daniel's success inevitable. And this is not a template, but a framework you must ruthlessly adapt. He woke at 4:30 a.m. From 4:45 to 7:45 a.m., he engaged in Deep Work Block 1, cognitive science reading and strategic reflection. From 8 to 9 a.m., he exercised, high-intensity interval training, no exceptions, because it triggers BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which literally grows new brain cells and enhances learning. From 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., he worked his corporate job, but he applied his new mental models to every task, treating each project as an experiment. He went home at 5:30 p.m., ate a clean dinner, and spent 6 to 7 p.m. on review and journaling, logging his data and writing one paragraph about what he learned that day. He was in bed by 9 p.m. No alcohol, no screens after 8 p.m. This schedule is not glamorous, it is monastic, but it is the schedule that buys you freedom. Most people spend their 20s and 30s avoiding schedules, treating structure as oppression. The brutal plan reveals that structure is liberation, because when you control your time, you control your mind. When you let your time be controlled by others, you are a servant.
So here is your final order, and it is not a suggestion. Tonight, before you sleep, you will write a eulogy, not for a person, but for your old identity. Write down the specific habits, beliefs, environments, and relationships that are holding you back. Then, on a separate page, write down the funeral service, the exact steps you will take over the next 72 hours to bury those things. Delete the apps, block the websites, clear your pantry, send the message to the friend you know is draining you. I need to focus on something urgent for the next 6 months. I will reach out when I can. You do not need their permission. You do not need their understanding. You need your own execution. 6 months from now, you will either be exactly where you are, or you will be a person who looks back at today with gratitude for the courage you showed. There is no middle ground. The sword of transformation cuts cleanly. You are either in the arena or you are in the stands. The arena is painful, it is bloody, but it is the only place where victory exists. Stand up, walk to your environment, begin the amputation. The clock is ticking, and the person you are meant to become is already waiting for you on the other side of this fire. Do not keep them waiting any longer.